Acting is a very mysterious craft. The people that I admire that really do it the best, I have no idea how they've achieved what they do. When you're working with them, with the people who are truly great, it's a seamless exchange of thought, emotion, physicality. There's no, you can't parse it while you're in the moment.
He is paying me to show him in combative form the art of expressing the human body.
Which is acting, in a sense, isn't it?
Well,
or it would be a useful tool for an actor to have.
It's, I mean, it might sound too philosophical, but it's unacting acting or acting unacting. If
you've lost me.
I have. So what I'm saying, actually, you see, I mean, it's a combination of both. I mean, here is the natural instinct, and here is control. You are to combine the two in harmony. Not if you have one to the extreme, you will be very unscientific. If you have another to the extreme, you become all of a sudden a mechanical man, no longer a human being. So it is a successful combination of both. So therefore, it is not only, so therefore it's not pure naturalness or unnaturalness. The ideal is unnatural naturalness or natural unnaturalness.
Yin yang, eh?
Right, man, that's it.
Actors, musicians, men in business, they don't have to be artists. It's an obsession, a form of madness in a way. Madness is an easy word to use and it's a dangerous word to use. But I suppose it's obsession. Obsession. In my own case, I didn't want to ever... I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to do what I did with a passion. I started out and I was very troubled and mixed up. And I believed that the thing for me was to keep my own counsel and saying, I don't want to let anyone know what I'm doing. I want to work quietly and creep up on people and make a life for myself. And it was a desperate need to make a life which seemed worth living for myself. Out of what need, I don't know, but a compensation. And I'm not obsessed in that sense anymore. But what I've done is worked so that I'm ready. Work, and to go on learning.
Similar to, what it takes to be a good actor is keep an open mind, some actors, young actors have this sort of idea that they want to be movie stars and, want to be on TV and all that stuff, and that's great. But, I started off in theatre and ended up in television and, I of course I wanted to be in film, but the theatre route just opened doors for me. As an actor, you can be an actor and do voiceovers, you can read scripts, you can read plays as an actor to get yourself, but just get as involved as you can without being too choosy about the type of work you do. It's really great to be able to just get your performance and your creativity out. So just be really open-minded as an early actor, be prepared, that's very important. And follow your leads. If someone says call me, do it. Call them, send them a resume and a headshot, do it.
Dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. Goals on the road to achievement cannot be achieved without discipline and consistency. I pray that you all put your shoes way under the bed at night so that you got to get on your knees in the morning.
I love the discipline part because, people think you are just, you make something cool and you're supposed to be a success. But we put a lot of work into what we do, and a lot, it requires discipline.
That's right.
Because you can't just do whatever you want to do and think everything is going to come out 100%. It's not. You got to put that work into it.
Well, they say luck is where opportunity meets preparation.
You've been described as a legend, an extraordinary actress. How would you like to be best remembered?
Is a good worker.
Just a good,
I have
solid
adored the
professional?
work. My goal was never the marvelous good fortune of the public. That was never my goal. My goal was to do the best I could, and I just adored the work.
Right. When you were criticized, and I suppose there are times all performers, artists have been criticized.
Well, actually, if you are never criticized, if everybody says, that's a very nice actress, good actress, you have had it. You must have pros and you must have cons.
Right.
And heaven knows I've had a lot of cons.
I sort of regarded acting as a means of making a living and not much more. I was interested in other things, but I've taken a pretty active interest in it, and since I don't do anything else well, and up to this time I haven't decided what else I would like to do, I might as well put all my energies into being as good an actor as I can.
Tell me this, Marlon, does this seriousness also apply to your role as Sky Masterson in Guys and Dolls? I mean, the singing you have to do.
Yes, I know what you mean. At first glance, it seems sort of a superficial form of entertainment, but actually I think it's part of an actor's trade to be able to play in a light vein and to be an entertainer as well as a serious storyteller. And I think that perhaps an actor at most is, maybe for a moment in his career, from time to time, a poet, and at the least he's a juggler and a roustabout and an entertainer, and I feel that I perhaps have neglected that part of my career up to this point.
And you rather like the challenge of the change too, don't you?
Yes, I do. It's a lot of fun, actually, because when you play a serious part, you have to go to the set or the theater, and you have to sort of keep the tragedy in your mind and keep things working to keep yourself emotionally on edge in order to play the scenes well.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go to the set, I have a lot of fun because it's a gay sort of affair, and it's lively, and there are a lot of young kids around, and it's pleasant to look forward to. It's a nice way to spend your day rather than in the middle of a miasma of seriousness and gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was that age, I was very serious about acting. And there's a stereotype where like, oh, kids can't be artists. I think kids can be the greatest artists.
Yes. Yeah.
Artists ought to aspire to a
artists.
childlike mentality.
You're embodying somebody, you're not really thinking about your own life. It's enough to try and get this person fully, this human fully realized.
Oh,
yeah. You don't really, I don't associate it with me, because that would just be, well, it would get very dreary, because, I've been doing this job a long time, and then everyone would end up being like me. So my job is to pretend, really, really pretend that I'm totally somebody else.
I see.
It's the only way I can do it.
As an actor approaching a role, you have to find a level of empathy and understanding with your character. And I think to try and carve out anything that's two-dimensional, to go into this realm of is he thumbs up, thumbs down, I find that so limiting, and that's a selfish perspective. I'm not saying that's prescriptive for everyone and other people's working methods and how people will view or receive the film or my work in it, but certainly as an actor I want to find out what the three-dimensionality is behind a character and what motivates them, what's human about them. And that's not to soften the edges at all, that's just purely because it's near, I guess, to a human experience, so there's some common ground for audience to understand the character's motivations, because then it's something that we can relate to rather than something that's ostracized from us and something that's telling us how to feel and think. And I personally get bored when I watch that type of work, and I get bored doing that type of work. So that's the motivation behind what I try to create.
It was in my sort of part of my DNA, because there is there's a residue of each character that stays with you. I think it's a compassionate. It's it depends who you speak to, but it can often be seen as an indulgent profession. But I think it's a compassionate profession, and that you do see the world for a short period of time, often through an unlikable person's perspective, a person that you wouldn't necessarily have a relationship with, and saying, how did they see the world? How did they pit themselves against the world? And so it does expand you.
That's how stories work for audiences. That's how they work for actors. That's how acting works. It's this profound spiritual body swap technology, right? That puts us into someone else's experiences, because underneath the differences that separate us, we all have the same well of emotions that we draw from. The fundamental truth under each story is there's no us and them, there's just us. And so it's incumbent on all of us who hold stories dear, who believe in the power of stories to remind us of this truth, and believe in their purpose to prove this truth, to battle all those stories that tell us a lie, that there is a us and a them. I'm not talking about race, I'm not talking about representation, I'm talking about stories, I'm talking about oneness, and that's what's bringing us all here today. And so it's incumbent on all of us as storytellers. The more open and expansive our stories are, the more open and expansive our society will be, our hearts will be. The more we hold others with stories, the more we can be free in ourselves. And I've got to be honest, I've often not felt free in myself. I grew up code switching between different languages, classes and cultures, always leaving part of myself at the door. You know, it helped me really start acting. I thought acting was all about making masks and wearing them, becoming someone else. And if this last 15 years of my career has been about that, I hope the next 15 years is about learning how to take those masks off and offering more of myself.
Making art in general is about bravery. It's about taking chances. It's about kind of walking down a more uncomfortable path sometimes. I always challenge myself to do that, even if it's being foolish. So,
where does that come from?
I think it comes from a desire to create things and share them with people, to be of service. When I'm on stage, I really think of it as I'm there to serve you and not myself. I don't think I've ever heard the applause, and you probably know what I mean by this. I'm always thinking, how can I do a better job?
When I'm in the audience and I am transported and I am moved by performances and I'm moved by the story, it is an essential human right. Yeah. It really is. And I'm proud to be a stage actor. I'm proud that I stayed on the stage.
Yes.
Because there is that it's the immediate gratification between actor and audience that is so crucial for just human nature.
Yeah.
And you know, I put my feet on the stage and I feel like I'm home. You know.
I was so grateful to be any part of the business that I was unaware of anything else. I was a part of it. I didn't care what I did. They never had to ask me twice to do anything.
And has that lasted this long, or is it now just a business to you in a sense?
No,
you feel
it still lasts. I
does.
love being a part of it. I'm getting an award Thursday night that is probably the biggest thrill that anyone could have. You can get a lot of awards in this business, but some of them are very, very special because they're not doled out, you know, too generously. But to be recognized as someone who has really contributed, that's important.
I never felt, after witnessing certain things, after experiencing certain things in my career, I realized that I could not afford the luxury of just being an actress. There were certain issues that I wanted to address, and I chose my career as my platform. And there is no difficulty in finding an issue to address. Our world is fraught with them. And so whatever strikes me at a given moment in time is what I will lend myself to.